right, folks, I've got my reporters on it. And quite frankly, Kevin's a great guy. I probably should have just canceled him today, but I canceled him yesterday because of such big news on the attack on the First Amendment in this country across the board. And then I got him on again today, and it's important news about the drug war, but it just pales in significance. But I'm just kind of apologizing on air, not for Kevin. He's a great guest and intelligent guy, that we should have been covering more what's happening in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Libya, you name it, because this could lead to World War III. And a lot of analysts are saying that. But let me tell you who is covering it. DrudgeReport.com. Let's put them up on screen. Video shows urban warfare in central Cairo. That's the capital of Egypt, folks. I know most of you know that, but in case we have new listeners. Protesters, guns don't scare us anymore. Hundreds and hundreds dead in the last few days. Some jump off bridges to avoid gunfire. At least 27 dead more in new clashes today. Tourism faces meltdown. Yeah, that's the only thing propping up the economy. Reuters has a live feed. Dozens of phone calls from Obama, Hagel, Kerry ignored by top general. Yeah, well, Obama's gone to Martha's Vineyard to vacation again and go boating, so... Saudi king calls on Arabs to stand with Egypt. Egyptian military promises to rebuild Christian churches. Good job for them. Now, over on the left-hand or right-hand side of Drudge, he has the real key intel. The Nile runs red. Incoherent Obama policy under fire as violence spreads. Speak softly and carry no stick. U.S. credibility in tatters. Peace, killer of U.S. Marine released. POTUS. Party time on Martha's Vineyard. I just mentioned that. Rand slams Congress for funding. How does your conscience feel now? That's funding MORSI, which Rand warned against. Congressional staffer, and it just goes on from there. Now, here's why you need to go read all those articles on DrudgeReport.com, so you have the facts about what I'm about to tell you. To explain things, I don't have time to get into the whole geopolitical breakdown, but basically there's this. You watch the movie Lawrence of Arabia, that's based on the true story of almost 100 years ago, a little under 100 years ago, how the British went in, funded the Bedouins to basically take over much of what is Saudi Arabia today and Syria and surrounding countries. And they carved out the most radical sect of Wahhabists, like the super enforcers, holy rollers of the Muslims, basically. Of the Sunnis, of the majority group. The Brits are always smart with their empire. They went made a deal with the biggest group, 80% of Islam, and the most radical sect of that, which was like 1%, but now is the majority, basically in control of Saudi Arabia. And projecting their empire worldwide. And they've got to deal with the globalist, okay? And you go back 3 years ago with Hosni Mubarak, who was a 31-year dictator, trained in the West, but was a stabilizer just like Saddam. Folks, he said, I'm not giving Libya to al-Qaeda and the radicals. They're too dangerous. You want to destabilize things. They had him house arrest, drugged up. You never heard from him again. And they carried out this program that's in the PNAC documents and that Wesley Clark also talked about, a plan to bring down 8 countries to deindustrialize them and create absolute squalor, put in radicals so the Pentagon's got somebody to bomb. And could have no-bid weapons contracts, black hole, not a U.S. interest, as has been pointed out by many top analysts we've had on, an interest of defense contractors. Themselves owned and run by hedge fund hyenas that just look at bottom lines. These people are going to cause World War III, according to every top analyst out there. Left, right, center, conservative, libertarian. But Rand Paul and Ron Paul have had the nerve to come out and say it and be attacked by all the neocons and all the authoritarian left people. And you've got the authoritarian left, the neocons, circling the wagons together, trying to put al-Qaeda in all over the Middle East, raising unholy hell, okay? And Saudi Arabia, we've heard rumblings of this from our NSA sources, Wayne Madsen and others that have proven to be very accurate in the past, Tarpley, others, that there's a shift, and that's why Bandar Bush was his nickname. Prince Bandar has disappeared the last few years because he was part of a coup, counter-coup, not wanting to be, or coup, not wanting to be part of this, reportedly. And that Saudi Arabia, and it's a horrible corrupt elite. Any corrupt elite becomes sick, but I mean, they're nothing compared to the New World Order. The point is that Saudi Arabia is not going to go along with all of this. that they understand that this is a destabilization that'll finally even bring them down, which, by the way, is part of the plan, finally. Saudi Arabia will be the last to fall. And then, by the way, the UN plans to make Israel fall next as the final deal for world government. This has all been charted out, okay? So Saudi Arabia, then Israel. Now, that's down the road. But look, Saudi king calls on Arabs to stand with Egypt. He said the kingdom of Saudi Arabia and its people and government stood and stand today with the brothers in Egypt against terrorism and against the attempts by, as they said in the past, outsiders to destabilize Egypt with radical Islam. Now, this is their own people. Johnny Appleseed was born during the Revolutionary War. He's not just a legend. And in more than 5 states, he introduced apples that had not even been grown in the colonies. Later, the seeds from plants he planted and cultivated and some of the varieties he developed spread across the United States. And it was Johnny Appleseed teaching the colonists and then the new Americans, after we won independence, the love of planting fruit trees that introduced that idea to North America. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a revolutionary act to unplug from the television, to unplug from the computer and all the globalist propaganda, and to go out in your backyard or your front yard or planters at your apartment or on the roof of the building where you live, and to plant a garden. Become the Johnny Appleseed of your community with seeds from the INFOWARS Seed Center at INFOWARSstore.com. The simple act of planting fruits and vegetables and then tending them and taking care of them and then sharing them with friends and family is a revolutionary act against tyranny. The globalists, first and foremost, do not want us to be self-sufficient. The crony anti-free market capitalist, the fascist, are using socialism and collectivism to shut down societies. Stalin in Poland and in Ukraine and other areas starved on record more than 10 million people over 5 years by not letting them grow their own crops and collectivizing them. Mao killed between 65 million and 80+ million people doing this same thing. The UN says they will use food as a weapon. They use genetic evil to attack the earth, and major GMO companies have been caught going into growth belts around the world, even where GMO is illegal, and planting seeds everywhere to infect the genetics